We don't really need a recess because everybody's got what they're supposed to do. And we were gonna do mounds, but Terry says, Ma, I found a bunch of stuff, I wanna do it, so. Terry put the whole thing together, and we're gonna start with, Peter is going to read a brief history of Winchester Grange.
The year was 1888. It was a cold and windy evening with 20 men and 11 women met in the living room of the Tunis Goodenough home in Winchester, former Winchester Grange. We heard the tales of little Lena Goodenough Pennington, Francis Goodenough, and Corny Johnson hanging over the railing at the top of the stairs, listening to what was going on in the living room. Feeling they were much too old to be playing with the little children in the bedroom. The folks in the living room included more experienced Grange members from Hope Grange and Torrington, including Mr. and Mrs. Sherman Kimberly, the first state master of the first state Grange, and state deputy A.F. Minor. All the charter members were instructed in the 4 degrees, and officers were elected that evening with Tunis Goodenough, the first master. The first meeting of Winchester Grange was held in a hall over the store owned by the Brunswick, which then became the Lamp Museum owned by George Sherwood. This was rented for the magnificent sum of 50 cents a month. In 1894, learning that the building known as Hurlbut's store was for sale, a committee was formed to investigate and decide on whether or not to buy. The decision was made, and Winchester Grange had its own home. The price was $600. The old Hurlbut store became the Grange Hall, scene of events and activities for many years in Winchester Center. Plays, dinners, auctions, dances, card parties, and more. The famous plays presented by the Winchester players drew people from miles around to Winchester Grange Hall. In June 1951, the old Grange Hall burned to the ground. It was struck by lightning. Under the direction of Sherry Berger and the building crew, Winchester Grange members rebuilt the hall. It had burned on June 21, 1951, and the new hall was dedicated and ready for use on June 25, 1952, at which time the dedication ceremony was held with a wonderful program and service to bind this new Grange Hall into the community, much as the old hall had served. Winchester Grange has had many things of which they could be proud of, one of which was the formation of Winchester Junior Grange, 50 years after the forming of Winchester Grange. Sadly, the Junior Grange dissolved in the late 1990s. In 1979, Winchester Grange took over the Strawberry Festival, which was previously hosted by the church. This event was held annually until 2019, after the COVID pandemic caused cancellation of the event for a number of years. In 2024, it was decided to not continue with this event. For several years during the 1940s and 1950s, a major 3-day fair organized by Winchester Grange was the event of the summer. It was eventually consolidated into a 1-day fair, which we still hold today. 2024 is the 73rd Winchester Grange Fair. Since its organization in 1948, the Winchester Volunteer Fire Department has had a great relationship with the Winchester Grange. The fire department was originally housed in a section of the Grange Hall and had added a much larger facility off the back of the hall. In 1997, the page of the Winchester Center Post Office and its zip code were in peril. Winchester Grange stepped up to the plate and housed the little village post office in the old garage where the fire department once resided, thus saving the 06094 zip code. The post office is still operating there today. Here are a few additional memories. Operation Forward in 1966. I'd love to have seen this. Dominic Camping as Mr. Peanut in 1972. A parody of Johnny Carson's Tonight Show by King Beecher in 1976. The popular rock, gem, and mineral shows. The Eighth Degree, presented by King, Don, and Bud Beecher. The quartet of Joe Bement, Torchy Bement, Donald Fancher, and Bob Fancher. The 1949 debate, husbands should prepare breakfast on Sundays. The Lazy Daisies dance team in 1950. The 1954 piano trio of Ramona, Barbara Ann, and Barbara English. Pomona Fair Days. Various live programs by Gene Hurlbut, Carl Candler, and Catherine and Harold Bolton. Now in their 136th year, Winchester Grange maintains a strong commitment to the Winchester Center community, sponsoring and hosting numerous programs, community service projects, activities, and more year-round.
No. Did anybody learn anything?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's got the multiple choice quiz. Did anybody look at it? Because I have the answers. Okay, who was the master of Winchester Grange during the 100th anniversary celebration?
Porchy.
Yeah. Some of us probably know on the phone, so. What date was Winchester Grange organized?
Who's Torchy?
Sarah.
Oh, okay. Friends recommends. Before he went bald, he had red hair. Yeah. Was it January 20th, 1888? No, wrong.
January 2nd.
Oh.
In April of 1974, how many members did we have?
Wow.
590?
Yes.
Yep. Wait, look at that here.
Oh, is it right? I don't get. Winchester Grange sponsored a baseball team in the early 1900s. All our uncles and aunts, uncles ran that team, plus I think the Herberts. What was the name? Winchester 9. I don't remember, I remember them talking about it, but I don't remember who else.
We turned into the Winchester Highland in a second. I know that.
After.
Yeah, it became Highlands.
The house where Winchester Grange was organized originally belonged to Thompson's Goodness.
Tunis.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was putting another letter in there, wasn't I?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Betty and Bill, Deidre, Sue's or Peter Martians?
Adrian Allen's.
Yeah. The Blueberry Bazaar, sponsored by the Women's League of the church and held from 51 through 1970s, was a very popular countrywide fair, with thousands of attendees coming from all over the area. Winchester Grange was in charge of the muffins and the blueberry pancakes. And I remember all the guys from the fire department were cooking the pancakes downstairs on the, what you call it, it was all the
Grills.
grills, and they were all set up on the table where we serve our food, and that's where they cooked the pancakes.
And one thing I can remember, there's a hole in the floor over here where they set the dough up and we were doing pancakes on the flat top grill out there. And that.
They did that one year?
Yeah, and sent it up to that little hole there. A lot of that filled, a lot of that so.
All right, how many dozen muffins did Winchester Grange members bake?
I want to say 1,400.
It made a lot.
Yes, I remember my mother making 100 dozen muffins.
Oh, yeah, mom made a lot. Mom made a lot of the blueberry cakes. I think your mom did too, didn't she? She,
Yeah.
and then it said over 2,000 pies were baked in 67.
So how many dozen muffins were made?
1,400.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I know you guessed it, but you didn't confirm it.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes, all right.
We girls had to put them in the bags. She made them, it was like we had you did, and we had a big freezer, like we got downstairs, and that was full of all of these muffins.
When did Winchester Grange confer degrees on its 100th member after the organization? It was organized in January 2nd, 1888, and they got their 100th member
In September?
in September 88.
Wow.
And how many people attended the Grange Hall dedication in June 22nd, 1952?
Over 340,
I would say 340.
Over 450.
over 450.
Yeah.
Well, that makes over 340, correct?
That's right.
Okay, now people, you're gonna be interested, wait a minute. Okay, I hope, I'm gonna read what you wrote. Winchester Grange has been lucky to have so many gifted and talented members. Those who can play instruments, write and act in skits. Okay, this is a recording of Torchy. I hope it's loud. Have to be. Yeah, I think either 51 or 52. That he's saying that.
He sang it a lot of times after that too.
Okay, some program they put on.
Uh,
Terry would know, but she's not on anyone yet.
no,
No, she probably didn't get back home yet.
Ramona?
Was that Charlie playing?
I'd like to say something about
Yeah.
Torchy. Torchy was very special to me. He's the one that, said to me, why don't you join the Winchester Grange, now that you finish being an master, now you're blue out. Otherwise, I might never become a Grange. In the three initial Masonic degrees, there is a moment when the song was appropriate. And Torchy would sing, and his brother Joe would play, How Great Thou Art.
oh, yeah.
And the other thing is, Torch sang for you, Mary Lou, in church.
Years ago, yeah.
And I have the honor to wear his Masonic pin.
Yeah.
Who was playing the piano?
I don't know if it was Joe or Mama. I'm not sure.
Oh, your mom, she played it.
It was either one or the other. Terry might have it. I'll have to ask her if she knows.
That was very special.
So. Okay, now we have some interesting facts. The Sue and Bill has interesting facts.
Okay. When Winchester Grange's original hall burned on my birthday in 1951, June 25th, 1951, much of the building was a complete loss, except for the side where the fire department was located. I always thought that was fishy. Anyway, Patrons Mutual Fire Insurance presented a check to Winchester Grange for $20,000, which was the full coverage for the hall and contents destroyed in the fire. This was the largest single loss check the company had ever issued at that time, and was the third total loss the company had paid out, all to Grange halls. Implements of the Grange and the staff heads were salvaged from the fire. These were the original implements dating back to the first meeting in 1888. A Bible belonging to the Wetmore family was presented to Winchester Grange by Clarence Beecher, a descendant of the Wetmores. The Connecticut State Grange gave Winchester Grange a set of sashes that were turned in from Woodbridge Grange when they purchased new regalia. They also gave Winchester Grange 50 new songbooks. Torringford Grange presented Winchester with an altar rug, with funds raised through an effort by Myrtle Fouillard. Junior Grange sashes were given to Winchester by Ledyard Grange, as well as a donation of $5. Plainville Grange donated $135 to be used for a public address system. 2 lamps, one for the secretary's desk and one for the piano, were donated by Mrs. Eugene Williams. A large electric mixer was presented to Winchester Grange by Mrs. Russell Moore on behalf of the Women's League. Hope Grange, under the guidance of Carrie Meyer, handled refreshments duties at the first 6 meetings of Winchester Grange after the fire. For those of you who don't know, Carrie Meyer was Jeannie Hurlbut's mother. So there was a Hurlbut connection with all the features up here, you know? Anyway. Torringford Grange held a dance with the proceeds donated to Winchester. 100 new metal folding chairs were donated.
We still have those chairs.
Were donated and have since attacked several of our members. But anyway, they're still here. That was a combined effort of Wigville and Victory. A large historic flag was presented to Winchester Grange by Mr. and Mrs. Stanley Smith at the dedication of the new Grange Hall, which was hung in front of the building. The flag only had 45 stars. And there's a picture someplace of that flag. It covered like the whole front of the hall. At the hall dedication, Winchester Junior Grange, under Irving Robbins as master, presented new table drapes for the officers' stations. That's it.
Okay, this is interesting facts part 2. Did you know country stores were started in 1952 as a way to raise extra funds to pay off the mortgage on the new Grange Hall? Control of Morris C. Webster of Harrington was to be the guest speaker at the 25th anniversary banquet and program of Winchester Grange on December 28, 1916. His car became stalled in a snowbank near Crystal Lake. Rather than disappointing the Grange members, he walked the remaining 3 miles in the cold and snow to the Grange Hall. It's quite an effort.
That's a picture.
Do you know that after the beach bomb burned in February 1931, where the family lost everything, while George and Julia were at a Winchester Grange meeting, no less, the members of the Winchester Grange rallied together and built a new farmhouse for the family. It started with a Grange-hosted logging bee to provide the lumber less than 1 week after the fire. A new home was completed in April of the same year. It's quite an effort. Winchester Grange helped the beach farm once again in 1937 when George's son-in-law, Clarence Beecher, was ill for several weeks. Grange jumped in to help the family by hosting an ice harvesting bee.
And well, for information, we always have to have something a little comical. The article, this was from the Current. Rooster died of stage fright. I'll say, I don't know who wrote it, but it says, my gracious, but there were peculiar happenings over in Winchester last evening. Among other things, a real live rooster borrowed from the beanery of A.P. White, manager of the Highland Lake Farm, made his debut on the stage as an actor, and then dropped dead of stage fright. And Deacon Elliot Brunson, the same fellow that at this one time represented the town in the state senate, chased real live frogs about the stage to the delight of the capacity audience. For weeks, the dramatic committee of the Winchester Grange had been perfecting Down in Maine, a 4-act drama, and last evening they presented it to the Grange Hall. Every seat was occupied. The various rows were exceptionally well filled, and everything was going along nicely until Mr. White's rooster and the frogs made their appearances. The rooster was so frightened that he didn't do much more than stand and stare, but the frogs cut loose for more congenial surroundings, and much to the discomfort of Mr. Brunson, their captor and caretaker, they hopped out of their box and headed for the exit. Of course, they might have gone right down the aisle and back to the swamp from which they were taken. But Elliot had other things in mind that they might do. He finally succeeded in rounding them up and was wearing a satisfied expression when a few minutes later he discovered that Mr. White's actor Rooster had walked off the stage and laid down and died, contented like. When Mr. White took his rooster to Winchester, he valued it as $1.50. So we've had quite a few things on here. Okay, and we have a little, yeah. No, not yet. Not yet, Mary Lou. No, this is, Sandy has something to read now. This is written by Olive Beecher, that's Grandma Beecher, in 1961.
I also, I want to go back to when you were reading about the fire, that I read that they had a, what do I want to call it, cutting bee one day, and they cut with saw, this is a group from Winchester, over 300 trees in one day to build the house. Axes and saws. Imagine. Anyway, this was written by Grange teacher, Olive teacher. What the Grange means to me. It seems I cannot remember when the church and the Grange were not the topmost conversation in our home. Father and mother, every day of their lives, tried very hard to live up to the teachings of the Grange ritual, and in turn passed them along to me, for which I am forever grateful. The friends I have made through the Grange, from far and near, have given me many pleasant memories and a helping hand when most needed. Do we not say to ourselves when getting ready for Grange, I do hope so-and-so will be there. I would never have had the friendship of such wonderful people if we both had not realized the real meaning of the Grange and thus became active members. I have learned to get along with others, to pass by their faults and pity, and I hope they will do mine. I am sure when Father Kelly had his inspiration to organize the Grange along with the others, God was walking with them all the way. The Grange has to mean something to its members, whether they realize it or not. As I look back to my childhood and up through the years, I realize more and more that the church, the Grange, and the teachings from the ritual, which my parents so faithfully believed in and imparted to me, is really what the Grange means to me. I quote my father's favorite verse from the ritual: speak good of others rather than evil. Gather up memories of others' virtues and pass by their faults in pity. Olive Feature 61.
Very nice. That ought to be circulated everywhere right now.
That was something. Okay, dear. We have a song, it's a good thing to be a Granger, some might know it, but it's on page 14. if you don't. Okay, Dan, and Dan has a reading. Wisdom reading by the chaplain. Wisdom reading by the chaplain, written by Arnold Brooks, 1940. Our Grange, built on a structure of faith, hope, and charity, bound together with fidelity. We must let our light shine so that others may see the good works the Grange has done. These words from Matthew could well become our daily motto. Yea, are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. That's Matthew 5, verse 14 through 16. The Grange was founded on strong, enduring principles and is motivated by ideas of brotherliness, neighborliness, integrity, and human concern based on our religious heritage, the very foundation of a great America. Okay, thank you. We're then asking that concludes.